Hubert, do you have any update on how Armando?
Whoa.
That will be an interesting press conference experience.
I'm out.
Hubert after dark.
Yeah.
Do you have any update on how Armando's doing?
He's doing really well. He's I was surprised at the way he was able. He didn't practice yesterday, but I was surprised the way that he was moving yesterday. He's improving a lot. I don't know if he'll play tomorrow, but I was really encouraged by the way that he moved yesterday. And so we've got practice at 3. I haven't seen him yet. And so I'll look and we'll talk. And but the most important thing, as I've always said, is the players. And I want Armando and I want Pete healthy.
With Pete, is there anything updating there?
Yeah, he continues to get better. I think I would probably say Armando's closer to possibly playing tomorrow than Pete. But, for somebody that at times has struggled with back issues, it's all about flexibility. It's it's about strength, and it's improving every day. He could be ready tomorrow as well. But if I would guess, I would say Armando is further along, and Armando is still very questionable at best to play tomorrow against Louisville.
You mentioned caring about the player's health first, obviously, and knowing what a back is like. Is this a situation with Pete where you consider just like giving him a week or two and saying, hey, just really get back to 100% before we even try and test anything?
Well, it's not really, a time frame in terms of like, let's take 10 days, let's take 14 days. The back is, when all the muscles are loose and there's strength there and stability there, whether it takes 1 day or 21 days, I just want to make sure that, Pete health-wise is in a great spot. And so it could be tomorrow, it could be today, it could be next week. But I don't ever put a time frame on it. I just want the guys healthy to be able to play.
Coach, Jalen played extended minutes the other night. How's he feeling? Jalen Washington, how's he feeling with his knees? Is he good to go?
Yeah, Jalen feels great. He had a really good day of practice yesterday, and I just was really proud of him. I've said before so many times that, your job as a player is when your number is called, you need to be ready. And it's a great example of his number being called, and he was ready, and he played extremely well. And, I was happy that people can see how talented he is and the potential that he has, because we get to see it every day in practice. And I was really happy for him, and look for him to continue to improve and get better and be out there on the floor.
What's his endurance level right now? If Pete and Armando couldn't play, how many minutes could you get out of him?
I don't know exactly how many minutes. I think, one of the things with basketball is, the only way that you can really get into basketball shape is play basketball, and he hasn't, he didn't play his senior year of high school, and at the beginning of the year, he was limited in terms of what he can do 5-on-5 at the beginning of the year. And so I think his conditioning level is a 10 out of 10, but it's also got to get a 10 out of 10 out there on the floor, and so this is, there's a difference. And so, but I was encouraged how many minutes he played at Virginia. I think the game with Louisville will be at a faster pace, and so that'll be different. And so I can answer that question a little bit better at about 4 or 4:30 tomorrow.
What do you think he learned from that game with his most extended minutes he's had?
I don't necessarily think he's thinking what did he learn. There's a joy about being out there on the floor again. He just loves to play. He's an unbelievable kid to coach. All the guys on the team just adore him. And, it's been a while since he's been out there on the floor. And for him to get that opportunity and for an extended period of time and to be able to have success, I think there was joy. I think there was confidence. I think there was relief. I think all those things. And so I was just really happy for him.
Hubert, when you were dealing with him in practice or working with him and bringing him along,
Yeah.
was there a couple things that you said jumped off that you said, hey, this is where he's really picking things up. He's ready. Like, was there one or two things in particular you were most pleased with before he got more and more minutes?
Well, I've always been pleased with him since recruiting him. I was extremely pleased with him as a player and his personality and his character and the family that he comes from. And so in him coming back, I understand, not that because I've been in that situation, but I've seen it, being out of basketball that long for a year, I didn't want to rush him back. I wanted to make sure, obviously, that, from a physical standpoint, that he was in shape. I wanted to make sure from a strength standpoint that he was strong enough to be able to get extended minutes. And I didn't have like a certain time frame in terms of how to increase his minutes. I just knew that I didn't want him to go from 0 to 100. I wanted to be a gradual increase in terms of his workload, because even if you're 100% healthy and you played your senior year, I still think it's a huge step coming from high school and playing at this level. And so there's a number of factors that I had into play that I thought about.
With Baycott being questionable and Nance obviously behind him, who do you kind of turn to? Obviously Jalen, but there's going to be other guys playing more at the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
What's that rotation look like?
I don't know. I'll let you know at 4:30.
How tall are you?
Yeah.
I mean, you use McCoy, you use
Yeah.
some.
Yeah. Anybody that's healthy and has a uniform on, they'll be ready to play. There'll be some unconventional lineups out there on the floor tomorrow, and it is what it is. We'll be ready.
Do you see that as something of a silver lining, that even without those two guys, maybe some other guys get more opportunities in different spots than they would potentially otherwise if Pete and Armando were both in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, you just never know when your number is going to be called, and the opportunity that you have a chance to be out there on the floor, you have to be ready. And I've been in that situation before. I've been in that situation where my number has been called, and I've been in that situation before when my number was called, and it was called at a different position, and I got playing time, and I had to step up and had to do my job. And so this is a great opportunity and a great lesson for all of our guys. They're prepared and ready to play, and at the end of the day, at 2 p.m., North Carolina's playing Louisville, and North Carolina's going to show up and compete against a really, really good Louisville team.
Coach, aside from the scoring and the rebounding that Armando brings, are there any little things or intangibles that he brings on the court that now you guys have to look to replace?
Well, for Armando, the many things that he brings to the table, like, you just can't, okay, he's out, let's just replace. That just doesn't happen. Armando is just an elite special player, so his ability not only to score consistently down low in the paint, only person that can do that is Armando. He's an elite rebounder. Only person that can do that is Armando. So, how do we consistently score points in the paint? He does a great job of drawing fouls and helping us get to the penalty so we can get to the free throw line. Well, we've got to find other ways from other people to be able to attack the basket through post or penetration, to score around the basket, to get to the free throw line. And, we don't have that guy that can block and alter shots around the basket. And so we'll have to find ways to contain Louisville and protect the paint. And so I don't think it's a situation of how can we plug somebody in or plug people in and replace exactly what Armando does. I just think everybody has to step up and do what they can do out there on the floor. And if I think one thing that when we played against Virginia, and I told them, and I told you guys, the guys that played at Virginia, after Armando got hurt is good enough to win games. Plain and simple, period, the end.
Do you feel more confident in your bench than you did a month ago, maybe, because you've been able to use more rotations these past 2 weeks? Maybe more encouraged by their performance?
The thing that I love about the bench and the guys that have gotten extended minutes is the opportunities that they've gotten, and they've been able for themselves to gain confidence out there on the floor. And so, unfortunately, you want Armando and you want Pete still in the lineup, but it gives guys like Jalen and Justin and Tyler and Dontrez an opportunity to be out there on the floor. And I just think that always helps, because there's going to be times, even when we're all healthy, that their number still is going to be called. And when you have that experience of being out there on the floor and being successful and having those experiences, I think it gives them confidence, and I think it gives me confidence as a coach as well.
With Seth playing extended minutes, what does essentially adding another primary ball handler, often alongside Caleb or RJ, do for your guys' offense and creating opportunities for?
Well, I love multiple ball handlers out there on the floor. It's not just with, Seth and is on the floor with RJ and Caleb, if all healthy, it's RJ and Caleb alongside Leaky. Over the last couple of years, Leaky has led our team in assist to turnover ratio. And so when Pete's out there, he's a fantastic passer at the power forward position. And so I love having multiple guys out there that can make plays. I think it helps us from an offensive standpoint. I think it helps us in terms of taking care of the basketball and being able to handle pressure, whether it's full court trap or any types of different coverages in the half court set. And so having Seth out there alongside Caleb and RJ, I think it helps our team have another guy that can create shots, not only for himself, but also for his teammates. And I just always think that's good news for us. And I like having that out there on the floor.
When you're watching Louisville on tape, what sort of stands out to you? And also, what's sort of your relationship like with Kenny? Are you guys close or friends, or do you guys have much relationship?
Well, when I look at them on tape, I think they're extremely talented. They have tremendous size. They can rebound the basketball. They can get after it on the defensive end. They're very athletic. On the offensive end, Ellis is he can score, he can distribute, extremely quick, and he's had some good games against us, especially at Louisville last year. And they can score consistently down low in the paint, and they've got some guys that are feeling very confident in terms of shooting from the outside as well. And so, one of the things that I told the team is, and not just for Louisville, just for everyone, it's just you should never just look at the record. This is a very good basketball team that is improving and that's getting better, and they're going to be ready to go. And it's going to be a great and competitive game tomorrow, and we're excited about the challenge of playing them. And in terms of knowing Kenny Payne, we're friends. We don't have a close relationship, but that's because we've never worked together, we've never played with each other. But I will say this: when Coach Williams asked me to be an assistant coach, there were two people that pulled me aside on my first time that I went out recruiting, and they said, "Congratulations, you're going to love coaching." One was Steve Wojciechowski from Duke, and the other one was Kenny Payne when he was at Kentucky. And both of those guys pulled me aside, and they said, "I'm so glad that you left ESPN and that now you're coaching, because this is a great profession and you're going to love being around and working with kids." And so he was one of them that said that.
Time for a couple more before we get, not coincidentally, Jalen in here.
Okay.
Anybody else for Hubert?
Yeah. Caleb's struggling shooting the last couple of weeks. Is there any piece of advice you've been able to give him, or is that something he'll just get through?
Well, one of the things that I've talked to him about is that he's a basketball player. He's just not a shooter. or scorer. There's so many things in his bag that he can bring to the table that not only is a benefit to him, but also this team. And so Caleb can be an unbelievable defensive player. I love the way that he guarded against Wake Forest. I think he can, his ability, and he has a gift of being able to create and distribute the ball. And even though we did lose to Virginia earlier this week, he led the team in assists with 5 assists. And so there's a number of different things that I think Caleb can do. And you know, one of the things that I always, not just Caleb, but anybody, when from an offensive standpoint, you feel like you're struggling a little bit or your percentages are down, I think, you know, the first thing that you look at, is there anything, you know, in terms of form, and there's nothing there. You know, you look at shot selection, you know, what type of shots, and then also just the ability to do other things and take your mind off the shot and continue to shoot good shots, continue to attack the basket, continue to get to the free throw line. And I think those things contribute and help shooting the ball better when your percentages are struggling a little bit. But it doesn't bother me at all. Caleb is a great basketball player, and he's a guy that has no fear, and at any time he can hit and make and take a big shot. And I love having him out there on the floor, and I love coaching him.
You've not won a true road game yet.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Do you talk to your team about that at all?
No.
Let's go get this one. Or
No,
changes?
no.
Okay.
No, I just, and the reason I don't is because I don't know what benefit that is to our team. I you know, if I go into the locker room, we start practice at 3, guys, we haven't won on the road, a true road game this year. We got to have this one. I don't know how that moves the needle in terms of being more prepared or more focused. You know,
Try to win them all.
try to win them all. And home, road, neutral, we try to win them all. And the next game on our schedule is playing at Louisville, and so our full attention is on them and playing the best that we can become tomorrow and see what happens.
Thank you, Coach. We'll get Jalen in
Thank you.
here.
Okay.
You'll do